Joining us from Los Angeles is a man who watched all of this happen, the radio show host and all-around great observer and analyst and man, Larry Elder. Larry, great to see you tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Tucker. I appreciate it.
It's hard not to feel, and I'm not alleging a conspiracy because it's happening in plain sight, but it's hard not to feel like a historic event, January 6th, which no person would ever defend, is being used by political partisans to gather more power to themselves, and the rest of us are letting it happen.
Well, Tucker, everything you said about needing more facts, of course, is rational, it's reasonable, and it is completely irrelevant because Donald Trump has been impeached twice and is now standing his second impeachment trial for the unpardonable capital offense, capital felony of being Donald Trump. The left thinks Donald Trump himself is a crime scene. Look at some of the characters involved in this play. Maxine Waters. Everybody knows Maxine Waters urged supporters to threaten Donald Trump cabinet members. She said, push back on them, surround them, form a crowd, let them know they're not welcome anywhere anymore. Forget about that. This is a woman who wrote a letter to Fidel Castro when Congress passed a resolution urging Castro to send back to America a woman who had murdered a New Jersey trooper, broke out of prison, and fled to Cuba. Maxine Waters writes Castro a letter, likens her to a freedom fighter. She's a former Black Panther, and says that the only reason she was prosecuted is because she was been persecuted for political beliefs, and urged Castro to keep this woman. She remains there as we speak. Chuck Schumer, of course, is going to vote to convict President Trump. Chuck Schumer has often played the race card. When asked whether or not Donald Trump is a racist, he said, well, he has said racist things. 1974, a young, upcoming, ambitious politician named Chuck Schumer met with some racist neighbors in an area in New York called Flatbush. There were two buildings, Tucker. They had black tenants. They weren't causing any problems. They weren't committing any crimes, but these racist neighbors wanted them out. The young Schumer met with the neighbors, and he said, look, here's what I'll do. Vote for me, and I'll introduce a measure to renovate these buildings. They'll have a right of first refusal, of course, but we'll make them so nice they won't be able to afford to come back. And voila, he introduced the scheme to do that. Unfortunately for Schumer and the racist neighbors, the blacks were able to come up with the money to move back into digs that were nicer than the digs they left, but not for want of trying. Now, the man who was attending this meeting is named Jay Homnick. He's a writer, Tucker, for American Spectator. He wrote about this in 2006. I've interviewed him several times over the years on my radio show. And I've asked him, has anybody from the New York Times, Washington Post asked you about this? He said no. The media are completely uninterested in this racist scheme to purge a New York neighborhood in 1974 of black people. Now, 1974 is a long time ago, I'll give you that. But that's the same time that Donald Trump, a young Donald Trump, entered into a consent decree with the FHA to discontinue practices that the FHA felt were discriminatory against would-be black and brown renters. And that is often cited as a reason for Donald Trump's alleged racism. Around the same time, Chuck Schumer introduced this racist scheme to purge a New York neighborhood of black people, and nobody gives a damn. This is the kind of double standard that we've been up against for years, and I am sick of it. I am sick of it. These characters involved in getting rid of Donald Trump, impeaching him, and now convicting him have done horrific things, and the media could not care less. Who writes a letter to Castro? Who in 1974 introduces a plan to get rid of black people? Who does that? Media indifferent.
Hard to take a moral lecture from these people. I completely agree. They win because they scream louder. They're more aggressive. That's totally true. Larry Elder, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you for that.
It is. Thank you, Tucker. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.